I'm Mike Thomas, president of Kiwi Indian Motorcycle Company. I'm going to show you the overhaul of the 1938 to 1947 cast iron oil pump. Basically there's two feed rates in these pumps. The early ones had a 1/2 inch bore, and so the plunger will be 1/2 inch, and there's the 5/8. So we've got the 5/8 on the feed plunger, and we've got 1/2 inch. So the 5/8 is going to have a 5/8 bore in this pump body. The very early ones had a 1/2 inch bore, maybe 38 to 40, somewhere around 40 was a change. I'd highly recommend changing to the 5/8 bore. The 1/2 inch bore is going to put out about 100 milliliters per 20 seconds at 1500 RPM on our oil pump tester. So if somebody else got another tester, they're all going to vary some, but this is just a rate that we've come up with over years of experience. The 5/8 bore is going to put out about 130 milliliter per 20 seconds at 1500 RPM. I'd highly recommend upgrading to the 5/8 plunger, or the 5/8 bore as well. The clearance on these from the factory was about 1/1000th of an inch, which is quite excessive. I've found if you get it down to 1/2 thousandths, that's okay. When I rehome these with oversized plungers, I aim for 2 to 3 tenths of 1/1000th of an inch. This actually makes quite a bit of difference to the feed delivery down to the engine. It really keeps that rate up real well. You'll notice the bore, that's the 1/2 inch bore. There's quite a step from the threaded area to the bore, while the 5/8 one there's actually very little step from the threaded diameter down to it. The thing you want to look at on these oil pumps is this is the return cavity in here. Make sure it's in good condition. This particular one is not. As you can actually see a lot of scoring going on around here. And that actually affects the return quite a bit. These oil pumps are notorious for wet sumping, especially when they get hot, so pay really good attention to this area down here. This one here, I'd consider it junk. You can actually see somebody's driven out. See how beat up that is around that shaft hole. They beat out the shaft with the Kiwi in there, put some gouges down there. This pump will actually bleed through oil. It's actually going to piss out oil through there, and it's considered junk. It's got a lot of pitting down there too. All this affects the return, so you got to pay real close attention to that. The other thing is the lower cover. You can see this one here's got some serious scores in it. These you can actually resurface these, but all these little things like this affect the return rate severely. So pay attention to all those little details, and just the end result of the pump. These pumps here on the feed side don't really offer any issues on a cast iron pump. The return is really particular. They're notorious for the wet sumping. Guys will call up, hey, I got a problem with my bike, and it's they're usually on the road somewhere. Starts blowing oil everywhere. The gears in here, even though they look okay, there's a set of gears on the bottom here, which we'll get to. They may look okay, but just throw them away. Whenever you're rebuilding an oil pump, throw them away and replace them with brand new ones. The new ones just work so much better. Even though the original ones, they look okay, they're just notorious for doing some funky stuff at the worst time. So you'll be out in the road and experience it at the worst possible time. And so pay attention to the oil pumps. You got to really pay attention to those little details. This is the oil pump drive shaft and the helical gear. This helical gear drives off the end of the camshaft. Just look at that gear, make sure the teeth are in pretty good condition. This one here is serviceable. The other thing is the rivet. Just make sure it's in good condition. They do have a issue now and again of shearing. This is the bushing that sits up here. So the shaft is actually going to come in down through here, and then this bushing is going to sit on top of that. This bushing looks like a very simple part, but it has to be made of cast iron. All the other reproduction ones on the market are made of steel. These are in a very low lubrication. Actually, they don't see any lubrication. So cast iron, having its own natural carbon floating around, is a lubricant. So it has its own lubricant. Where if they're steel bushings, they have to be lubricated. And even if they are lubricated at time of assembly, down the road they're going to gall and seize up and shear the rivet on the shaft and possibly do some other damage. Here's some other ones here that are in various poor conditions. Try and hold it steady for you. This one here, you can see the hard facing gone. It's gotten narrow in sections, so it's junk. So to replace that, this one here is, well, it loves to wobble around, loves to roll, but just grind the head of the rivet, tap it out, replace the gear, and put a new rivet in.